Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today we're going to be breaking down a production, and I'm going to be talking to you about layering guitars. Okay, so I have a song opened up here for you, and we're going to be building out these guitar parts one by one, okay? So we're going to start here with the main guitar part, which is this acoustic, okay? This is the part that the song was written around, all right? So here is the acoustic by itself, and we'll add in each guitar one by one, all right? Okay, now if this was our first guitar part, there's a couple things that I'm noticing in there that we want to take care of as we add in guitar parts, okay? The first one is panning, okay? So we have this guitar panned, I believe, 45 to the left, okay? Yep, so here's our acoustic, it's panned 45 to the left, so we want something on the right that's gonna balance that out, okay? Now in this case, we didn't reach for another guitar, we reached for a reverb, okay? So we have our acoustic guitar panned 45 left, and then we have its reverb panned 45 right, okay? And that's gonna balance out the spectrum there. Now the next problem that we wanna take care of with this acoustic guitar, or not problem, the next thing we wanna consider is the gaps in it, okay? There's little stops and breaks in the playing. Take a listen. Now that is an essential part to the rhythm of the song, but we don't want all of the guitars, all of the parts to be doing that, right? We want things that differentiate, that contrast each other, okay? So down the road, we can add guitar parts that contrast that rhythm and fill in those gaps in that guitar part, okay? So the next thing we're gonna reach for here, the next guitar part we're gonna add is a double, okay? In production, the first thing that you can reach for a guitar to thicken up your track is to just double it, okay? It's the simplest thing you can do. Now this here isn't an exact double because we used an electric guitar as opposed to an acoustic. We didn't want to have that, wide panned acoustic guitar effect. This is a chiller track, so we reached for an electric part, okay? Take a listen to how this electric guitar goes along with the acoustic part. So it's following the same chord pattern, same rhythm, but notice it does fill in those gaps, right? It doesn't do those stops with the acoustic guitar. Take a listen. Okay, now that we added that guitar in, we have another issue that we need to take care of in terms of the panning spectrum, right? So that electric guitar is panned 100% to the right, okay? It's not something that's sitting with the acoustic guitar. It's not something that we can throw like 45 on the other side. This is panned all the way to the right. So we want something that's gonna be on the left to balance that out, all right? We don't want the spectrum to be leaning to one side. We wanna keep it balanced. So we're gonna add in a guitar on the left to sit with that electric, okay? Listen to this part and then we will break it down, okay? Let me play it by itself first. So we're still following the chord changes here, but notice we're using a completely different rhythm, okay? It's like a descending riff that's gonna go great with our other two guitars, okay? So as we add more instruments, we don't wanna keep layering stuff that's playing the same rhythm, the same pattern, otherwise everything just becomes a jumbled mess, everything sounds the same. So this guitar is gonna sit with this other electric, so let me play you those two together, okay? So something to notice with just those two guitars, just the electrics, is frequency, okay? So the guitar that we added first, the one on the right, sits a little bit higher in the frequency spectrum, okay? Now this guitar that we just added sits a little bit lower, okay? So you don't want all of your guitars to fill the same frequency range, okay? Otherwise, again, they're gonna all muddle together and you won't be able to distinguish them, okay? We wanna fill different parts of the frequency spectrum with different instruments, okay? So that's what we're doing here. We got the lower part and we've got the higher part, and then our acoustic guitar part is more full range as acoustic guitars are, okay? So here's all three of those parts together. So even though that we have 3 parts here, you can still hear all of them and you can still distinguish them due to panning and due to rhythm, okay? So let's move on to our 4th guitar here, okay? Let me play you this one by itself and then we'll talk about it and we'll break it down, okay? Okay, so this guitar is adding depth, okay? We're moving on from panning and space. We want to add depth to the track now, okay? So this is our dreamier guitar. Notice we are still following the chords, but it's pretty verbed out and it's just going to sit pretty subtly in the back, right? You'll still be able to pick it out, but it's going to add depth to the track, okay? And it's kind of going to glue these guitars together a little bit too, okay? So take a listen. We'll add in the electrics and we'll add in this acoustic track, all right? And take a listen to what this guitar does. I'll keep it in and then I'll take it out about halfway through and you can hear how the track changes. So without it, it's pretty empty, right? There's huge gaps in the track. We throw that electric guitar in, that dreamy guitar verb in, all that space gets filled up, all of it gets absorbed, and it brings all of these other guitars together, okay? So that's that one, that's the depth element. This last guitar is our pad down here. Now, it's labeled pad, but it's not actually a pad. This is a guitar effect, okay? So it's just a single guitar note, it's the root note, and then stretched out with one of those like endless delay reverb type things, okay? So take a listen to this. Okay, so it's pretty mellow and it's something soft. This one's gonna be pretty subtle, okay? It's gonna sit in the back of the track. This is our smoothing element. Okay, so while all of these other guitar parts are changing, they have their own rhythms, they're following the chord patterns, this guitar is gonna be very constant. There's no rhythm changes, there's no rhythm at all actually, and there's no chord changes, you're just holding the root note, okay? So here is with the acoustic, and all of our electrics, okay? Take a listen, we'll start with it in, and then about halfway through I'll pull it out and see if you can hear what it's contributing to the track. Okay, it's just a subtle element of smoothing. Sometimes it's pretty difficult to hear, but it's just something that's sitting in there underneath this other dreamy guitar to smooth things out, okay? So while everything else is changing, while everything else is moving, this is staying very constant. Again, it's just another element to glue these parts together. Make it a cohesive track. Okay, and that's it. Those are the guitar parts in that song. That's how we built them out, and that is the idea behind each one of them, okay? So we'll go through one more time. We'll start with our acoustic, and we'll add each part one at a time until we get to the full guitar parts, okay? So here's our acoustic. That's our main part. Here's our double. Those gaps. Here's our opposing rhythm. This keeps things interesting. Everything's not the same. Here's our addition of depth. And here's our smoothing, our gluing element. And that's it. I hope that was helpful for you guys. I hope you can pull some ideas for that when you're working on your next production. If you do need help producing your next song, head to the description, click the link, Sumthins Recording, and request a quote for recording and production on your next project. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.